Dear students, welcome to Tungala online classes. So in the last video we discussed the general characteristic features of brown algae, that is Phaeophyceae. In this video we will discuss Rhodophyceae. Rhodophyceae, this class of algae are commonly known as red algae. These are commonly known as red algae, right? And this kind of algae, that is Rhodophyceae red algae, are occurring in marine waters itself. Their occurrence, these are marine in nature, means they are available in sea water or oceanic water, right? And the distribution of the plants, that is distribution of these red algae, is different. Sometimes some of the red algae, they are growing very close to the surface of water where well lighted area it is, right? It is a well lighted region, right? In that area also they are growing. Apart from this one, so they are growing very deep, right? So very deep oceanic water also, and majority of themselves are lithophytes, right? So the distribution of these algae is usually deep oceanic water, right? Deep oceanic water means they are growing so depth water, right? They are growing in, right? And sometimes they are growing, sometimes they are growing in well lighted regions near the surface of water. There also they can exist themselves. And these deep oceanic water in which the red algae are growing, these are usually lithophytes. What are lithophytes? Already I have mentioned you in the last video. Litho stands for stones or rocks. So these are growing attached to some stones or rocks there, right? And so this is about the occurrence of these plants. And the next characteristic feature is plant body. How is the plant body? Already we know this is thallus usually, right? And here the thallus organization that extend from unicellular to pseudoparenchymatous, right? So the thallus organization is from unicellular to pseudoparenchymatous, right? Means here you will come across unicellular red algae. Best example for this unicellular red algae, that is Porphyridium. Porphyridium is the best example for this one. And some are filamentous, Some are filamentous. The best example for filamentous algae is red algae is Batrachospermum. Batrachospermum is the best example for this one. And the next one is pseudo parenchymatous. Pseudoparenchymatous form of the plant body that we come across, the best example for this one is Gelidium. Gelidium is pseudoparenchymatous form, right? So this way, some are unicellular in nature, some are filamentous in nature, some are pseudoparenchymatous in nature. Such kind of different body forms that we come across in red algae, right? So this is about the plant body. This is about the plant body. Then, so let us go through the next characteristic feature, that is cell wall. Cell wall. What is the cell wall of these algae is mainly made up of, right? The cell wall of these algae is made up of a special kind of mucopolysaccharides. That mucopolysaccharides are hydrocolloids, right? And that is agar. That is agar, carrageenan as well as fumarate, right? So let us see here, agar, carrageenan and fumarate. So these are the mucopolysaccharides. These are kind of mucopolysaccharides, right? So these have economic importance. They have their respective economic importance. I will discuss the economic importance of agar, carrageenan, fumarate, all these things in economic importance of algae, right? So this is how cell wall is made up of agar, carrageenan as well as fumarate. One more point to be noted over here about this cell wall is agar, carrageenan, fumarate. All these are extracted from the cell walls of the red algae like Gracilaria as well as Gelidium. Next characteristic feature is pigments. What are the pigments present in these algae? So, as you know, chlorophyll is one of the photosynthetic pigment. So, but in this type of algae, what kind of chlorophyll pigment is present, right? So, here chlorophyll A is present as well as chlorophyll D is present, right? Chlorophyll A is present, chlorophyll D is present, along with this one carotenes are present, along with this one xanthophyll is also present over here, right? These are the pigments present in these algae. Along with these chlorophyll A, chlorophyll D, carotenes as well as xanthophylls. Some of the bile proteins are also there. Some of the bile proteins are also there, and these proteins are of two types, right? There are two types of these proteins are there. Number one, that is R-phycoerythrin, and second one is R-phycocyanin. So this is responsible for red coloration and this is responsible for blue coloration, right? So that kind of two proteins that we come across as pigments, and these red algae are red in color because of higher amount of what? phycoerythrin. Phycoerythrin is more, so because of this reason, so they look red in color, right? And one more aspect to be remembered over here. What is that? The characteristic color of these algae is because of presence of more amount of R-phycoerythrin. This is the point I have to note down. So apart from this one, these red algae which are growing deep water in oceans usually, and they are attached to the rocks or the stones there, and so these especially proteins, they absorb what kind of part of the sunlight they absorb is, so blue green part of the sunlight is absorbed over here, and so they help in penetration of these lights in depth, right, in higher depths of water, right, because they have short wavelength. Because of this reason, red algae can survive so near about 90 meters deep in oceanic water, even though little amount of sunlight is present over there. So this blue-green part of the sunlight can penetrate. So because of their short wavelength, they can penetrate deep into the water. So that is why these red algae can survive there themselves, right? So this is the point to be noted. And this phenomenon is known as, this phenomenon means, so these can absorb, means these pigments can absorb, so blue green part of the short wavelength, blue green part of the sunlight which can penetrate deep into the water, and that is responsible for the survival of these red algae, right? So, and this is called as complementary chromatic adaptation. It is called as, what it is known as, complementary chromatic adaptation. It is known as, this point to be noted over here. So this is about the pigmentation. Then what is the stored food material? Stored food material in these red algae, very unique feature. It is a kind of starch. That starch is called as a Floridian starch, right? What is the stored food material? Floridian. Starch it is. Floridian starch is one kind of starch, right? Which is similar to amylopectin. Which is similar to amylopectin or glycogen in structure. So this Floridian starch is equal to amylopectin or glycogen itself. So this point to be noted, very important point. So this is stored food material present inside these algae. And apart from this one, there is a special character. What is the special character which is seen in these kind of algae? Right? The special characteristic feature of these algae is there are no flagella provided, there are no locomotory organs provided in these algae. So hence flagellas are totally absent in these algae. Flagella are absent in these algae. Even in plants, as well as gametes. So flagella are absent in plant body as well as gametes. So this is one unique feature of this kind of, that is red algae also. Kind of algae is called as red algae. So these are some important characteristic features. And the next important characteristic feature is reproduction. Reproduction in these type of algae that take place by, once again, three methods. One is vegetative type, asexual type, as well as sexual type of reproduction. That is vegetative is first one, asexual second one, third one is sexual type of reproduction that occurs. First one, vegetative. In a vegetative type of reproduction, usually the reproduction occurs over here due to the formation of the detached part of the plant body which grows into new individual, right? So here vegetative type of reproduction occurs by fragmentation. It occurs by fragmentation. What is fragmentation? You know it better, right? And the second one is very important one, that is asexual type of reproduction. It occurs due to formation of different kinds of non-motile spores, right? So it occurs by the formation of different types of non-motile spores, and such kind of spores, monospores, we can mention tetraspores are also there, carpospores are also here, right? These kind of different types of spores are formed over here, and these spores which come out of the sporangium and they grow into new individual. And monospores, usually they are formed inside, they are singly formed inside monosporangia, right? Monosporangia, right? One sporangium is there. Inside that sporangium, already I have shown you in the last video, right? Tetraspores are also there, right? They are formed in tetrasporangia. These are formed in tetrasporangia and carposporangia. So like this, in different sporangia, these spores are formed. They come out of the sporangium and grow into new individual. This is the kind of what asexual type of reproduction which is seen in different plants in red algae, right? So next one is sexual type of reproduction. It is unique one, more advanced one when compared to the previous one, right? So these are showing oogamous type of sexual reproduction. That is nothing but oogamy, what we call it as, right? So this is oogamy. In this type of reproduction, so two gametes, one is larger non-motile, right? And another one is motile one. Here motile gametes are totally absent over here, right? So sexual type of reproduction. In this male sex organ called as antheridium is formed over here, and female sex organ right? Carbonium is also formed over here. Antheridium, carbonium. Antheridium forms spermatids. They are male sex gametes, right? And carbonium forms egg cell. Both are non-motile. Then how do these spermatia, that is male gametes, they come towards the female gamete for the fusion? Why? Because oogamous type of reproduction is seen over here, but gametes do not have any flagella for their movement. Then how do these male gametes come towards the female is the question arises. So these spermatia without flagella, they come towards the female gamete by water current. They move towards the female gamete by water current, right? So this way both of themselves fuse themselves, right? So this is oogamous type of reproduction. So is a sexual type of reproduction is seen in red algae. So this is the unique feature you must remember. Apart from this one more point to be noted over. Sexual reproduction is accompanied by the complex post-fertilization developments, and that results in formation of cystocarps, right? Sexual reproduction is accompanied by most complex post-fertilization development. As a result of this development, cystocarp is formed. So this is more important point to be noted. So these are the characteristic features of red algae, right? So let us see one table which is given in the NCERT book, very important table. So here in this table we study the comparative study of all the three kinds of algae, means the comparative characteristic features of all the three kinds of algae, that is chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae as well as rhodophyceae, right? Here is the table. Division of algae and their main characteristic features, right? There are three categories that we come across. One is chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae as well as rhodophyceae. So these are commonly known as green algae and these are commonly known as brown algae. Rhodophyceae are commonly known as red algae. And the pigments respectively present in these three types of algae. So we'll see now. So pigments present in that one, that is chlorophyll A as well as chlorophyll B. Along with this one, carotenoids as well as xanthophylls are present. So here photosynthetic one, that is chlorophyll A as well as chlorophyll B. And next one in brown algae, chlorophyll A as well as C are there. Along with this one type of xanthophyll, that is fucoxanthine is present. In red algae, chlorophyll A is there, chlorophyll D is there. Along with that one, so the proteins like phycoerythrin, which is responsible for red coloration, phycocyanin, which is responsible for blue coloration. Red coloration is more, hence the color of these algae is red in color. And the stored food material in each type of algae. Stored food material in chlorophyceae is the starch, and here in phaeophyceae mannitol as well as laminarin. And in case of red algae, floridian starch is a kind of starch which is equivalent to amylopectin as well as glycogen, right? Cell wall composition, when we see cellulose and pectin, and here cellulose as well as algin in case of brown algae, and cellulose is there in case of red algae. Along with this one, already we know some of the components are also present in cell wall. So they are polysaccharides like agar, so carrageenan, phenol, etc. Right? And next one, flagellation, number of flagella as well as position of flagella. Here in chlorophyceae there are 2 to 8 number of flagella are present. Already I have mentioned in theory 2 to 4, so they may extend up to 8 in number, and they are equal in their size, right? And they are positioned apically. In the same way, in case of brown algae, so 2 unpaired or unequal sized flagella are present. One is tinsel, which is a longer one, another one is a smaller one, whiplash one, right? And they are attached on the lateral sides. And the next one is red algae, where the flagellas are totally absent over here. And next, habitat of all these algae, we know they are mainly aquatic in nature, right? So they are chlorophyceae are seen in, green algae are seen in fresh water as well as brackish water. What is this brackish water? It is the water where the river joins the sea. Their saltation is somewhat different. There also these algae grow. And salt water. Some are marine and some are freshwater one. Some are brackish one. You know chlorophyceae. So majority of them are present in fresh water, means 90%, 10% are present in marine water, right? So next one is brown algae. Some very few number, very rare number of algae, brown algae are seen in fresh water, and majority of them are seen in marine water as well as brackish water. And the last one is very few number of red algae are seen in fresh water, but majority of them we have considered in theory, that is, so they are growing in salt water, that is marine in nature, and some are brackish water inhabitants, right? So this is how this table would help us to remember all the characteristic feature of the different classes of algae, right? So, and this comparative study would help us a lot to understand the characteristic features of different groups of algae.